Michael, panel member, and I'll be talking.
Oh, what are you going to be talking about?
I have no idea.
You don't?
I'm going to make it up as I go along.
Okay, but what are you doing in Cannes?
I'm here with my first film.
Okay, and what's the name of it?
Año bisiesto, leap year.
It's just in Cannes? Like, are you renting a movie theater your own self? Or is it in the official festival lineup?
It's in the director's fortnight.
Oh, I think that's big.
It's in the running for the Golden Camera Award.
Bragnace, Alegria director. I'm here to discuss my career and talk about the film and what we're planning with the film here in Cannes this year. It's a very exciting moment for us because it's the world premiere of our second feature film, Alegria. Me and Marina, we are both young directors from Brazil with a small company.
My name's Tracy Rector. I'm a producer and a director, and I am here in Cannes this year to present a film and to also moderate a panel on diversity.
I am Sandro Fioring from Figa Films, and we are here supporting Alegria, The Joy, from Felipe Bragnace and Marina Milian.
I'm Christina Garza. I'm Sandra's partner at Figa Films. And yes, we're really excited to support diversity in Cannes.
Hi, my name is Rachel Ross, and I'm here interning with the American Pavilion. I'm from the States, originally from Chicago. I go to Hampton University, and this is my first time out of the country, and I love it. It's so exciting. I'm actually here to see a panel on diversity.
My most recent project has a diverse cast, and we came to hear the discussion and perhaps meet some like-minded individuals.
Hi, I'm Dana Arviso, living in Seattle, Washington, and here as production assistant for Longhouse Media.
The director of the Quinzaine spoke to Eda and said, "This is not official. This is my personal opinion, but if I had that film, I'd be putting it into Cannes." And so Eda said, "Okay," and went back to Mexico and started to get the post finished in 2 months. We sent the film to Ventana Sur, which is kind of a film market in Argentina, and they saw it in a rough cut, and they liked it, and they asked us to please have it ready. And as soon as we had it ready and sent it off, they invited us. I finished the sound on Tuesday night, and the deadline for sending the film was Wednesday midday. So yeah, it was fairly stressful. It was a little bit unexpected, I think, for the producers. They didn't ever imagine it was going to do so well. Before I wrote the script, actually, I was talking to a friend who I had lunch with the week before I started to write the script, and I already had it kind of structured in my mind, and I said this film is going to go to Cannes because it was such a good story, and I'd forgotten, and she said, "You told me that this film was going to go to Cannes the week before you started to write it." Having that kind of intuition to actually seeing it happen is something completely different.
Yeah, the director friend night invited us. They really liked the film, and they called us in Brazil and asked, "Come to Cannes to show your film here as a world premiere." So we are here. Last year, the director friend night they know about the film we presented in Locarno, The Escape of the Monkey Woman. That is a crazy musical with no budget. And they were interested in the film, and I remember when I talked to some people from here, from Cannes, they said, "Oh, we really love the film, but you know, it's so small that if you come to Cannes, you'll be a little bit lost here." And we hope to see other films, and when we were preparing the Alegria, and they really wanted to say, "Oh, no," they were talking serious about it. And they said, "No, Alegria is a small film too, but it's a bigger one comparing to the no-budget film." Say, "Oh, what do you think? We are going to Cannes?" And they say, "Oh, we are not sure, but you have chance, and it's okay. We are preparing the film, we are editing the film. We don't know if we have time to go to Cannes." And we was preparing the film, and 2 days before the official selection, they called us in Brazil and said, yeah, you are here in Cannes, so finish the film. Okay.
Do you still feel a little lost here this year?
They said that
they said that.
I didn't say that.
I'm showing my film at a screening at the Short Film Corner at the Festival de Cannes, and also my film is screening as part of the Cannes Independent Film Festival. So one of the current films I have right now, it's a short film, and it's slated for a TV half-hour. The subject is a contemporary Native American artist who's mixed race, and he brings in his issues of identity into his expression of art, which is challenging the norms, because everybody thinks, well, not everybody, but oftentimes we come across people when they hear Native American, they think leathers and feathers. And he challenges that. He says, no, that's not what we're all about. We have these other mediums that we explore. And so one of the mediums he's chosen has been Vans, the shoes, and he designs Coast Salish art on the shoes, and it's grown in popularity. And the film just talks about how he's taken it upon himself to say no to the stereotypes and to express himself in this new way. And I think that there's this yearning, especially in Indian countries, we call it, for Native people to redefine ourselves and tell the stories that we want to tell from our own perspective.
I guess it's kind of the same all around the world in the media, in movies. If you look at American movies, you rarely get a protagonist who's not attractive. But in Mexico, it's more than that, because it doesn't matter whether you're attractive or not. If you have an indigenous phenotype, it's not going to be you. You have to have a European look in order to be considered for a lead role. It was really funny because Monica, my actress, was a little bit, she had to think about whether she was going to do it or not. There's sex, lots of nudity, it's kind of, there's some tough stuff. In the end, I think something that had to have weighed on her decision was the fact that she is an indigenous Mexican, and this would probably be the only time in her life that she would be offered a lead part in a movie, because there are no lead roles for people of her phenotype.
I think in terms of Native American communities and even being a woman of color or being a woman, that there are certain opportunities such as Cannes that oftentimes don't cross people's mind, that there's some self-imposed limitations that we bring upon ourselves. And what I'm trying to do as a filmmaker and a producer is to make these opportunities happen, because I think they open doors. For example, we had a feature film that did extremely well in the States, yet we couldn't get it into Europe and other countries because the protagonists didn't look native enough, or they weren't doing Indian things. They were kids, they were teenage boys wearing the clothes that teenage boys wear, and they were Native American and on reservations. But once we came here to Cannes, once our film got accepted into these roles, we're getting calls now, and it's opened the doors to have those conversations. We've been programmed into maybe 10 festivals in Europe just in the last month because of this opportunity. There is quite a bit of funding through ITBS and through Public Broadcasting System. And our feature film was acquired by Independent Lens, which they paid for post-production. But what it also did is it helped to launch a website, and they distribute the piece. Also, we are a 501c3, and so I would definitely suggest, well, we're pending, I would definitely suggest to filmmakers to consider becoming a nonprofit, because there's ways that you can write grants to support your work. There's 2 routes you can go. You can become a 501c3, or pending, that's what we are, and we're under fiscal sponsorship. And there's a number of filmmaking organizations that will fiscally sponsor filmmakers. There's a number of fiscal sponsors. I believe Women in Film in New York. I believe Tribeca also has a fiscal sponsorship program. IFP, the documentary magazine does as well. And what I do personally, or how I approach it, for example, our short artist profiles, I talk about breaking stereotypes and social justice work. And by having this contemporary voice of Native people come forth, it's about social justice and creating equality and addressing racism. So that's how I'll approach the grants. There's also another great organization that will fiscally sponsor filmmakers. They're called Northwest Film Forum, and I think that they have fiscally sponsored about 175 films. One of their most popular ones last year was Hump Day, and that was here at Cannes.
In terms of money, what I think the producers did was told me that they had the money when I don't think they did have. And told everybody else they had the money and set a filming date and kind of promised everybody they'd pay them 6 months later, a year later. In Mexico there's something called video homes, which are kind of like really, 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 really bad movies made in like 8 or 9 days to go straight to DVD. It's a huge industry. I think what they did, they had contact with a producer of these movies. They told him that they were going to make one of these movies. Are you interested? This is the cast, this is the script, this is the number of sex scenes, this is how much it's going to cost. And he looked at everything and said, well, okay. And he gave him the cash to pay my crew, which is about 4 people or 5 people or something, and to pay the catering and just the indispensable stuff that you can't not pay. And I think that we filmed with that, and then when they sold it, they got a minimum guarantee, and with that cash they went back to the to this guy and said, oh, we've changed plans, we're going to blow it up to 35 millimeters and exhibit it in cinemas. And he freaked and said, no way, I'm not going to make any money, you're trying to... And they said, okay, there's your money back. It's kind of like seat of your pants financing, but that's the way you've got to do it, you know, if you're going to be independent. And I think they did a good job. It was risky, but it's a risky film, so they weren't going to get funding from anywhere. The Mexican market is weird. They have very defined tastes. If you're doing something different to what's been done before, it's very difficult to get support from inside Mexico. I think that's why Carlos Regadas went independent, and that's why I had to go independent as well, because I knew I would never get funding for this. I put the script in to the Mexican Cinema Institute for funding, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. Didn't even hear back from them. The last big injection that we needed came from the Mexican Cinema Institute, which was a kind of difficult negotiation because everything's very, 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 very bureaucratic.
Wow, same story, different country. And on that note, we conclude the first Beyond Borders Diversity in Cannes panel. But before we go, I'd like to thank our panelists: moderator, Native American filmmaker Tracy Rector, Quinzaine des Realisateurs director Felipe Bragnace of Brazil, Michael Rowe, Camera d'Or nominee, and filmmaker extraordinaire from Mexico. I'd also like to thank my sponsors, Los Angeles entrepreneur Kelly Dow, and Tony Amara of Dream Eden Pictures. Without you, this event could not have been a success. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'll see you next year, Beyond the Border.